Yeah, yeah. We loading up on grace. Yeah, yeah. Sisters in the word, shopping in our swords, walking while we speak and stay and prayed up. From the everyday battles to the big breakthroughs, we right here with you, telling truth on truth. Hey! This is Spiritual Arsenal, the Sisters in Truth podcast, with your host F and Cat. Spiritual Arsenal, yeah. We got faith, we got fire. Come and sit, come and chat. This is Spiritual Arsenal, with your host F and Cat. Pull up to the table, bring your heart, bring your questions. We unpack the pressure, turn it into lessons. Laughing and we learning. We give you Bible, not opinions. This is Spiritual Arsenal. The Sisters in Truth podcast, with your host F and Cat. Spiritual Arsenal, yeah. We got faith, we got fire. Come and sit, come and chat. This is Spiritual Arsenal, with your host F and Cat.
Hi guys, welcome back, soldiers, warriors, however you want to call yourselves. Today we're going to be talking about grief, so this might be a heavier conversation than our usual. We just want to have a chat. Let's have a chat about grief, and we want to acknowledge the weight of the topic and define what grief is. You know, grief is broadly the loss of something or someone that you love. It could be a loved one, a person, it could be a pet, it could be the loss of identity. It could be, oh, there goes the pet right there. Hey, Jazzy. It can be the loss of direction, it can be the loss of a season, expectations, jobs, money, resources. But most of the time when we're talking about grief, it's mostly about, you know, loved ones that we've lost or other seasons of our lives. And yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today.
I mean, I think it's a very important topic because grief is always going to be there. I don't think there's anybody that's going to experience life and not experience grief, you know.
Yeah.
And it's shapeless and it looks different for everyone, but we all know what it is and that it is. So
if you live long enough, you're going to definitely experience grief. And it's not always loud, you know. Sometimes it's just heaviness, or it's just like quiet moments of confusion. And I'm thinking I'm getting this thought of, like, you know how back home in certain cultures when somebody dies, like they have like professional criers that come to cry. Sometimes like grief doesn't always have to look like that. Sometimes
it's not even loud. And in my experience, it's like you said, it's the heaviness. That's how I know I'm going through grief. It's just like an ache, almost a dull ache. It's not even as sharp, I guess, as other negative feelings, but it's very heavy and it's very present. It's like it has a heavy hand on your shoulder, at least for me.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes also it might not hit you in the moment. It can just, because grief is such a funny, okay, it's not funny, like not funny
in a weird way.
It's funny in the ways that it hits you, because like some days I'll think I'm like okay, like I'm just minding my business, and then all of a sudden it just hits me and I'm just now in a funk, and it's like why? But it's okay to feel grief. It's okay to be grieved. And it's okay to not necessarily like feel it in the moment. Or if it's delayed, it's fine. Or it's kind of like it doesn't ever really go away. At least that's how I see it. You know, People say a lot of times that time heals all wounds. I don't believe that that's true, because I have some wounds that's, that have, time has passed, years has passed, but I still miss those people that I lost. I still, I'm always going to feel that. Now, yes, I don't necessarily break down when I think about them anymore, but that pain is still there. Like, that's never gone away.
Of course.
So when people say that time heals all wounds, that's definitely not true. I think we should normalize delayed grief and just allow ourselves to be in those moments
Yeah.
when it hits us, and we don't necessarily know what to do with our emotions.
Yeah, and I think that's the part for me that was the hardest and that I learned. It was a great thing for me to learn how to just exist in an emotion, because I think a lot of other emotions, we tend to have this illusion of control. And so when they come up, there's always something that you can do about it. You know, when you're sad, you can do something to pick yourself up, or you can call your friends, or you can do this or do that. When you're angry, you can, I don't know, break things if you're not regulating correctly, or,
Personally, I love axe throwing.
there we go. You
That's
can break
fun.
things in a healthy way. You can do all these things. You can find ways to actively channel that emotion until you've worked through it. But I think grief, like we said, is this like sticky thing that there's nothing to do about. And I think our reflex is to try and escape the emotion, which makes you feel even more trapped. And so learning how to exist in the ache and to even be thankful for the fact that I can ache that way, because what is it that they say? Grief is love that has nowhere to go. Like
Mm.
it, I can be not in a moment, definitely not in a moment, but in hindsight, I'm able to be thankful for the fact that my heart can hold that love. Yeah, and time doesn't make it better as much as like time gives your heart time to grow around it, and and make like a room for it, whereas like before there's no room for it. It's just like you've just been stuck something. Yeah.
Yeah, time helps us to, I don't know, be okay,
Mhm.
but it helps us to be okay. So this is one thing that I really struggle with, and I don't know if it's childish or I anyway, so life goes on,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Life has to go on. Or how they say in the entertainment industry, the show must go
The show
on.
must go on. Yikes. It is
And
a show.
life does have to move forward. But
Mhm.
one thing that I've always struggled with, and I still do, even now that I'm an adult, is when I lose someone that I love, it's very hard for me to accept that I have to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Even though I know that I have to keep moving forward, and I know that that person that I lost that loved me as well, they would not want me to just, they'll be like, okay, you can be sad for a little bit, but then you do have to get up and move on. And for me, that is the hardest part.
Yeah, I don't think that that's childish at all. I think that's like by definition very human. I think everybody, I would be very surprised if someone who was going through loss, even intellectually was like, yeah, we gotta get it going. I mean, unless they're like avoiding their own feelings, but like, of course, by nature, you would want to look around at people like, hello, like,
Right.
why are we acting like this isn't happening?
Like we
Because it's
just gonna
actively
keep on,
happening.
right.
Yeah,
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 and I know that it can be the only thing really that can help a lot of people just actually keep going and not like completely break down and lose themselves, right? And that's what I've seen throughout my life, and I don't think it's a bad thing, right? Because we do have to keep going, we
yeah.
do have to keep moving forward. but it's just so hard. It's kind of like you're in that space where you feel like you just have, it's like the wind was knocked out of you,
Yeah.
like your breath was kind of taken away,
Yeah.
not literally, because obviously you're still breathing. And I'm sometimes, asking myself, like, why? Like, why them? Why not me? And then, you get into all those, like, woo! All
Yeah. I
those
mean,
thoughts.
this is something that I still haven't mastered or figured out. But I was told that looking for the why is what drives me nuts.
Facts.
And so I shouldn't be looking for the why. I look for the why in every single situation. Like,
Me
why is this
too.
happening? Why did you do that? Why is this happening? Um, and apparently that's what drives people nuts. And so I'm trying to learn when I'm like starting to be like, but why? But why? But why? Then I try to remind myself that it shouldn't matter, even though like emotionally, of course it matters and I want to know. Unfortunately, it's almost like there's no answer, but your brain wants an answer so that it can plan better. I mean, that's how dumb and smart the brain is. It's a great survival tool. It's a great thing that helps us like really bond and really grow and evolve as individuals and as like a community, but it wants answers. It's like the Lord has the answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the why is really, it can really leave you in a really just super dark place.
Yeah.
And obviously we know that God is God and we are not God. And there are some things that we just have to know and be okay with the fact that as a human being, we're never going to be able to have all of the answers. But it's just sometimes you're just like, I think I mentioned on our last episode that we recently lost our pastor, Pastor Freddie, who has been here with his wife on the platform. He passed unexpectedly, and that was really, it's still hard because it just happened like a month or so ago. And it's kind of like it was not supposed to happen, you know what I mean? And asking God all these questions, like we literally just planted the church and we were, on the way, like, and he was such a faithful servant. It's just, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
It really makes no sense. And we're stuck here
In the internship.
in the internship with the cockroaches and the pedophiles and the rapists and the stalkers, but
Yeah.
the good guys. And like, I'm happy, for Pastor Freddie, because he got his crown of glory, right? The Bible says that to be away from the body is to be present with the Lord. So you're happy for them that they get to be with Jesus.
Yeah.
And there's this saying that death is always harder on the living. Well, if you're in Christ and you're with Christ, then yes.
You're like, honey, there's another way.
Yeah, there's other places that you could be. But
Yeah.
it really is harder for the people that are left behind. But when I think about, like, Pastor Freddie, or when I think about my grandmother, or when I think about all the other people that I have loved and lost, and I try to put myself in their shoes, and I'm thinking, well, I'm down here in the ghetto in the internship. Do you think that if I get to go and meet Jesus, that I'm gonna try to come
I'll be
back?
like, y'all
Oh
have a great
no.
time. Be good. I'll see
I
you on
am
the
not.
other side.
Yeah. And so that helps me to think about it that way, because I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm going to be with God. And as much as I love you, as much as I love my people, my family, my friends, and all that, you
Yeah.
could just imagine just being in the presence of your Lord and Savior. Like, there's nothing that's better than that. But we just got to keep going through the internship until it's our time.
Earn the stars. I think one thing that would make me sad though, on both sides of the thing is that yes, ideally and hopefully we are all planning to meet back up, when we go to the Lord. But at the same time, we're not going to be having the play over there. We're not going to be having the internship over there. Like whoever is my husband, my mother, my father, my sibling, my friend is not necessarily going to be that title when we go be in the Lord, because those constructs won't necessarily exist anymore. At least that's how I'm imagining it'll go. Because we had a conversation in the past where you were like, "There's no husbands and wives in heaven." So if
Well,
there's
yeah,
no
that's in the Bible. That's Jesus said
right,
that.
right. So if there's
But
no husbands and wives in heaven, I have no reason to believe that I'm gonna go to heaven and like the soul that's like right next to mine is like, oh, this is my father, this is my mother. Like, why are we doing that?
I
And
don't
so,
know. I I don't know. I think we still gonna like
why would
remember
you
our
keep
loved
your
ones.
mom,
But
your
then
dad?
again, I don't know if that's accurate. Nobody has went and came back to tell us. So
Well, you know, my understanding of heaven is more so like it's a very integrated return. It's not like I'm returning, but I'm also like standing right here as an individual. Maybe it'll evolve, but so far that's how I'm seeing it. And in terms of spirit, because you remember how we talked about death, and I told you that I didn't understand that we didn't have a bridge and we were falling off a cliff.
yeah,
And so now, and now with the bridge, we're able, like, if your spirit is able to return and be with the Lord in the way that it was intended, I guess, like in the beginning, before we had
in
this
the beginning.
in the beginning, before there was a separation between us and him because of the things that we did that were ungodly and therefore incompatible with his godliness. I'm thinking, oh, if we get to return, then that's us, like, I don't want to say merging back in because that's like it's not a good image, but it's very much so like taking part in him again. And I don't know
Yeah,
what it is. I don't think it's up in the sky, but I
yeah.
think it's metaphysical more so.
I think that so. I think that until I think it's probably metaphysical, as you say, like you're gonna be in spirit or
Mhm.
just asleep until Jesus comes back. But when he comes back, the Bible does tell us that there's going to be a new earth. So I believe that the new earth is going to be like our eternal place that we're going to be with Jesus. And the Bible also tells us that we are going to get our bodies back. So we're not just gonna be spirit, but we are gonna have, bodies of glory, but they won't decay.
Interesting.
So, I think the new Earth is gonna be so dope. I just hope
I think that I need to
there's
ask
gonna
on
be
my phone.
food.
You said it's gonna be what?
It's gonna be super dope. But I just hope there's gonna be food. Like, like the food the food that like we like.
Buffets.
Yeah. Cause the Bible says that like we're all gonna be like the lion is gonna be chilling with the lamb and they both
So
gonna
what are we
eat
gonna
grass.
eat?
Exactly. That's my question. Cause I'm trying
Well,
to
I mean,
eat some
technically, if her bodies don't
ribs.
decay, maybe it'll be like y'all don't need food,
Oh,
or maybe we'll all be vegans.
that's what I'm thinking. I'm
So
like,
why are
but
we eating? Why are we eating the plants and
I
not the
like
animals?
ribs. Cause if the animals are eating grass, then
Would they be eating? So why are the plants the subclass citizens in this hierarchy?
I don't know. I don't
They're
know,
alive
man.
too.
I don't know. When we go through the book of Revelation, like we're gonna be able to read about that stuff again because it's in there. It's
Yeah,
in there. And yeah, that's a good point. Like, are we gonna be vegans? Anyway, I don't know.
who knows?
Grief, however.
Yeesh. But
Grief.
grief will make weird things happen because you know how I say grief is love that has nowhere to go, right?
Yeah.
And last time I was in church, and Father Brian was talking about what you can do to follow Jesus and to be in God as much as you can. And he was talking about this man who was a, I think he was a kind of like a fallen away, Catholic. He had like not really been keeping up with the faith and stuff like that. And he was in a hospital, or was he a priest? No, he was a priest. He was in a hospital and he had sepsis and he was in there for so many days. And he said, he had an encounter with the Lord, and he saw kind of like an image of Jesus who was crying, and he was alone, and he was like, my people have left me alone. And when he said, well, I don't know what to do for you, but like, here's my suffering. Like, can I give you my suffering, and can you take it and put it together with yours? And in his vision, that Jesus was happy about that. But then he kept hearing from the Lord, and the Lord kept telling him how he was like, more people were coming towards the Lord, not because the priest himself did something specific, but because he was willing to join his suffering with the Lord's. And so that day, it just brought up all of these feelings of grief for me, because I was like, oh my gosh, like, these are not just free feelings. I can have them and I can give them to the Lord. I can join my suffering up with Jesus's, and it matters. Like, it has a purpose, and it's not just for free for me to just feel it. So that helped me like be grateful for the feelings of grief as well.
Yeah, I don't think that our grief is meaningless. Now.
Hey, now hold
I
up
don't think
now.
our grief is meaningless, but I'm talking about the grief that we have to go through as a part of like the human experience. I don't think our grief is ever meaningless to God. And I don't think that our suffering, that he doesn't value our suffering, because he understands, Jesus, he went through it himself, right? But the difference that I'm making is the grief based off of like this human condition that we have to go through, not the grief from the consequences of our own actions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so that's what I meant by, I don't think our grief is meaningless, but it's a specific type of grief that I'm talking about.
I mean, but I understand what you're saying, and I agree. I would say one challenge that's popping up in my head is, what if, because everything is kind of like in the general drawing of God. It's everything is within his, let's say, his plan.
Yeah.
And even when you're suffering grief from the consequences of your own actions, if you were meant to go through that process in order to learn from these actions, and in order to learn to only trust God and not yourself, to have nothing else to hold on to but him, so that you can actually realize how much you need him, like, if that grief ends up leading you to him, I think
Mm-hmm.
in the grand scheme of things, it plays the same role. Now we do be, yeah, we do be doing that thing. We do be dum dums. But he's graceful and he's merciful and he loves us that way, because he didn't necessarily make us that way, but he made us in a way, and then
We went the other way.
we ended up here. So
We went to go see for ourselves,
yes,
and
we
then
did. Yes,
we
we did.
saw, and we're still seeing to this
Yeah,
day.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my
We're
goodness.
still in the video of the Vinny Vinny Vici. We're still in the video.
But God understands our grief, and I think that it's very easy sometimes to think that when everything is going well, or like when you're, like you just, everything's like smooth sailing. Sometimes we can have a, I think, the erroneous tendency to associate like the good parts of life with God's presence, and
Yeah.
not the bad parts of life. But the Bible tells us in Psalms chapter 34, verse 18, that the Lord is near to the brokenhearted, and he saves the crushed in spirit. So I think that in those moments when we are like really going through it, when we are at our lowest, is when I do think that the Lord is closest to us. But because of the human condition, and because of what we are experiencing in the moment, it can really feel like God, why? God, where are you? Like, I'm trying to, like, where are you right
Yeah.
now? Please come get me.
You know, it's
Save me.
weird because it's almost the opposite for me, and it's something that like it's been participating in me being fearful, which I'm actively trying to rebuke. But I have always felt like God was there and present and actively working when things were really, really bad. And then when things get good, it's almost like I have to look for him. I have to, because things are good, there's nothing going on. So I have to actively be like, hey, like, I'm not forgetting you're here. Like, I hope you can hear me. Hello. Like, but I'm also scared because I'm like, what if every time I want to be close to him, he has to, like,
Make you go through.
bring me to some level so I can like tap in, like it's very scary, but I'm trying to give it to him and to tell him that like I don't want to be a scared person. I don't want to be a person that's scared of whatever whatever he not expects, but whatever he knows I'm capable of and wants for me and wants from me. Eesh.
Mm.
Even as I'm saying that, I'm like, Lord, please, I don't want any more hardship. But it's true.
Yeah.
I do feel him a lot more when I am brokenhearted, and I feel so lucky to. I know that I know that I know that I know that he's holding my heart in those moments. But when I'm happy and I'm like Kiki, I almost feel like he's like, all right, you're good. Like I'm
I
gonna go take
think,
care of somebody else.
yeah, I think it can be, like, it can go both ways to where you can think that everything is like smooth sailing or that you're good with God because you may not be experiencing hardship, or you can erroneously think that you're on good standing with God because you're not necessarily experiencing
Anything.
turbulations in
Yeah.
your life, which I think it can be very dangerous type of thinking.
Mm.
But you can also easily forget to look for God
Yeah.
in the moments where you feel like, oh, I'm good. You might even
Chilling.
be like, I don't need God. I'm good. You know what I'm saying?
God
Especially
forbid,
not for me,
nah.
not us, not I,
No,
not
I know what
ever,
you mean, but like, yeah,
not ever. But
even just
like,
like
I feel
engaging
like
with
it's
that, I was just
very
like,
easy. It might be very easy to just be like, oh, I'm all good. You know, you hear, I'm self-made. You hear that a lot. Ain't nobody self-made, honey. Yes, you
true.
might have started from the bottom and then now you're wherever you are, but nobody's self-made. Everything that we have is a gift from God. And a lot of people are like, when you say, oh, thank God, they're like, no, I thank me. I thank
Why do
me
you need?
and
Why do
my
you feel the
hard
need to
work.
go out of your way to correct that one? You're gonna correct glory going to God so that the glory can go back to you. I feel like if even if in your head you're like, yeah, I did it, the fact that you would go out of your way to correct it, to
Yeah,
like take it back for yourself,
yeah.
yeah, that's risky behavior.
I'm telling you, I've been
Audacity.
like, thank God. And then some people have been like, no, you should thank you because you did that. You did that. You worked hard and you got it done. I was like, I was not going to be able to do it if it wasn't for
Somebody
God.
was
It's
carrying
not
you. Somebody
me.
was literally
It's
carrying you through the whole
literally,
thing.
but yeah, God is close to the brokenhearted.
Mm.
That's what it tells us in Psalm 34, verse 18. So he's close, meaning that even though you might feel like you can't necessarily feel God, or you might feel confused, or you might feel like, Lord, Lord, why have you forsaken me?
That part.
But that's when he's literally right there. He's not distant, and he draws near to those who are crushed in spirit.
All right, soldiers. Thanks for holding space for us today.
If this was helpful for you, whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or you're watching us on YouTube, join the army, enlist your friends, and let's keep building each other up. Until next time, stay rooted in the Word.
Keep sharpening your swords.